That's what I said to that guy, because he was there. So there you go. That's the end of that conversation. Anyways, I was not having a conversation. Um. Man. Went to come up with a topic. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be a good topic. Good old topicy. Coming around the bend. Mm-hmm. Doo doo doo. Do 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 do.
Oh well, fuck this. Shit.
My reflex is getting better at this game. God dang it. Kinda better. Not all the way better. Yeah. See how I made it like right in that perfect parking spot? Amazing. Alright. I need another car. Alright, so there we go. Okay. Another car.
Oh, now stay calm, lady. Chill.
Try so many times to just drive, you know? We're gonna come up with a topic as we're driving though. Salute Mini Cooper in the air. Did not mean to do that. But
Nice drive.
that is a good topic though. Whole bunch of stuff just went in my brain and had a whole bunch of different scenarios. Reminds me about control and how I just ran in the back of that person.
I'll look after it, homie, for real.
$1700, yes.
Look out the way.
Alright, I think that sometimes people think that more often than not they have more control over their own lives, over their own lives, and oh man, but they don't take into consideration, and I've done this too, taking into consideration that there are just variables that happen, you know. There are things that piss us off. There are things that make us angry, and I mean, as we're like calm, collected, and different, and in different situations, we start to realize, or start to think, or start to come up with a norm, or this is the way that I'm going to act in this certain situation. It's like, it goes back to what I said about controlling and training yourself in your emotions sometimes. Because you don't know when or where someone will try to piss you off or make you feel like you're belittled or anything like that, or make you feel like, oh, that's just the whole thing. Like you don't. Oh, also, I would like to get a shout out to Caliber Comics before I go into anything. to go into Caliber Comics. It's a really good comic place, and I recently read a thing called The Shepherd, a book, and it's an origin story right now so far, I think, and or at least the parts that I read, and it is really good, and it is extremely compelling, and it actually reminds me of some Shakespearean plays a little bit, and I do like Shakespeare, so it's really good. But that's that. That's that. But for that, it's Caliber Comics. Look them up, and there may be in a store near you. I really don't know. But when I talked to the guy, when I talked to him, he was very nice and very cool, and the story is extremely compelling to me, and it is really good. So so give him a look, or give him at least a search, I guess. Caliber Comics, The Shepherd.
Man, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna steal this motorcycle now. But yeah, I think that when it comes down to control, I guess, we think we have more of it than sometimes we let on, I guess, and I died. I thought I was going to land on my feet, but then I died. Then I realized I wasn't, so. But, when it comes to calmness, I guess, when you start to think that that's going to be the norm forever, or that nothing is going to shake our I'd say our mental capacities, I guess. And we start to think that's going to always be the norm, like, oh, this is the way that life is always. When we start to get older and stuff like that, and you start to get more mature, you start to realize that no, that's not the way that things are. Sometimes it's only with an established government or an established form of trade and a form of import and export is there even an established way to be able to keep ourselves confident in stuff, I guess, and that when it in itself stimulates economies, I guess, and people, and oh man, I guess I need to understand too that it's like that it's really, really crucial to for governments to stay stabilized, I guess, and for our own self-confidence, I guess, don't always stunt, I guess, you know. Bling is not always needed, you know. So but also realizing that there are certain ways that you can, I guess, and still remain in anonymity. But realize that yes, I'm be able to complete the backflip, and yes, I thought I was gonna die, so I turned in a way that I thought that would flip me off the bike but not kill me. All right. I've always thought that that somehow I'd be able to prove myself to be a confident and well-adjusted person, I guess. And I've always been given instances of like to be able to create or maybe even express my humble ability, I guess. But I have sometimes just expressed my anger on this channel, so I'm not really like three-dimensional on this platform right now, so I don't really care. But talking about self-control, people can misjudge themselves sometimes and not be able to understand that training yourself as far as your emotions go is extremely important, and training yourself as far as the way you want to be viewed in the world is way more important than actually being viewed in the world.
Oh man.
Like the put your best foot forward, sort of speak. Not like, oh, I'm gonna create a character and that character is gonna be the person that I see and that I play. Because if you notice that when people play characters on the movie screen and when they play characters on a movie, their parts of their personality come out. Like when you find out that a person is like has like played so many masterminds and or played so many different kinds of characters and played them well, you have to understand is that means that they're good at covering shit up sometimes. Yeah, it's like when a person plays a criminal for not to say that a criminal but when a person who has a reputation of playing a certain character and when that character comes into question, and that person hasn't gone to jail for anything, when that thing comes into question, when that character comes into question, or when that person is put into judgment, I guess, under scrutiny or under a microscope, basically, under certain clauses, people can. Oh my God! All right. Okay. All right. When that character comes under scrutiny, I guess. I'm not gonna say that everyone has like a certain ability to. I'm not really good at this, but obviously I'm not a professional, so. When people start to say things about themselves and as far as or when people start to share things about their life or things about their themselves, what we should really understand about themselves is that, or about that individual, I'd say, take everyone's words with a grain of salt. Even mine. Because of everyone trying to put their best foot forward, people, I just put my best foot underneath car tire. Nice. Because of what people would call,
Man, I'm sorry, fool.
because of what people would call,
This don't make no fucking sense.
yes, it does, Michael. Or Franklin. Sorry. Not Michael. Michael's the Italian guy. What I would say as far as, self-control is when someone is guilty of something. Eventually that comes to light. Whether it be within their own groups, or whether it be within themselves, or whether it be within anyone else's things, I guess. Also too, you have to realize that that through certain channels of manipulation and control, or what they think is control, but it's in actuality just more manipulation. People get manipulated to be able to do certain things, and I'm not saying that I would forgive them. I'm not saying that I have forgiven or have forgiven anyone. But also too, in the same sense, I'm saying that that within your own self-control, you're able to after a certain situation happens, whether you're the victim or the perpetrator of something, you have a choice. You have a choice to let that moment define you. You have a choice to let that moment pass in the air, like what you would call a grain of sand, or anything. Like moments are a grain of sand, like my dad likes to say, but my dad is often wrong sometimes, seeing as how he's not the owner of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I would like to say, though, sometimes that people say that oh, you can't profit off the suffering of others, or you can't profit off the things of others, and it's a terrible thing to do. It really is. But doesn't medical profession do that? Isn't the very nature of what the medical profession is profit off of people suffering?
Report 505.
Like they fall down some stairs. You're freaking, you know? So, I guess, I mean, I don't know. I just look at things differently, I guess, or I look at things weirdly, or I try to look at things with a weird eye, I guess, and lifestyles of myself and not famous. I've understood that that a lot of times when I try to tell myself that I've when I try to tell myself that I've finally got control over my life, or finally got control over anything in my life, I like to make a checklist, because whether I'm lying to myself or telling myself the truth, it remains to be seen sometimes whenever I'm actually going through that checklist. Because sometimes I'll purposely doctor that checklist to make sure that I am like completely and utterly sane, I guess, or not just sane, but sound-minded body, like realizing that, and I guess I just use my car as cover, because I'm amazing. And also I'm going underneath the bridge, because actually, I'm not going underneath the bridge, I'm going. People say they have self-control a lot, and when they say they have self-control, or when they say they have self-anything, they like to measure something, or like someone calls himself a professional.
We have a visual. Moving in.
When someone calls himself a professional, they like to say that they have experience or tenure with any sort of with any sort of, like, I know this is going somewhere. I know it's going somewhere, and it's gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna come to a full point, and please just bear with me. When people say they are a professional, they what they can do sometimes is give the false representation, or give a false representation to another person as to what they can do for them. And when that person starts to say that they're better off, or that your life is better off because of a certain thing, or that you're a little bit selfish and you need to think about others before you act, and notice that everything that person is doing is a selfish thing, because I mean, in a way that people want to help other people, but also too, in the same sense, you have to understand that I guess psychiatry in itself. And I have to jump out of this car right now. Psychiatry in itself can help when like I said, I always say if there is someone that is actually good within a profession, then good things happen. But when there is someone that is actually truly calm, sound, mind, body, all the other good stuff and all the other different stuff, they're not met with a lot of obstacles. I guess a lot of metaphorical obstacles, at least. And those metaphorical obstacles are I'd say a person that gets bored of their own profession, or trying to get back into the things, or trying to say that it's not just a job, trying to say to yourself that it's not just a job, and that, or being afraid of your own authority or something like that. And it comes in many forms. It can come at yelling at your employees. It reminds me of different things like that. Like it reminds me of our people being afraid of literally their own job. They're afraid of what could happen in their. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. They're afraid of what can happen in their own job. So what they try to do is prepare everyone by conditioning them and yelling at them, and then conditioning them and yelling at them, and then conditioning them and yelling at them, because they believe and think that somehow a way through that certain situation is ignorance or ignorance, or ignoring a certain situation.
Some fucking manners would be nice.
And I'm not criticizing anything or anyone. I am, though, criticizing sometimes what people would call I don't believe in family psychiatry. I believe that because inherently people, because we tried to go to a family psychiatrist at one point, or given another point. We tried to go into family psychiatry, and we started to realize that we were just bonding on making fun of him. Yeah, we were ganging up on a certain psychiatrist because of our insecurities on ourselves, and I realized that we all had to do, like, literally had to do either group therapy with strangers, because it's fun to do that stuff sometimes. It really is, because it was actually the height of my day at one point. It really was. I really started to believe in it, and as soon as it stopped, I realized that, you know what, it didn't have to be that way. I didn't have to constantly think about the next day and how it was going to be. But I had to think about that, or apply that to my own life, basically, and I had to realize that was basically the foundations of my self-control, or the basis of what I really wanted to do as far as self-control. And I wanted to be more articulate about what I was doing, about how I was doing things. And I wanted to make sure that I could differentiate between what people were bringing my way and what I wanted to accept. And in a lot of situations in real life or in reality, I didn't have that luxury. Like, it's like I was a part of other people's stories, and I wanted to be a part of my own story, you know. And it's like I had to realize that situation wasn't a real thing, you know. Like that's a made up construct inside of someone else's head. It's like we are not the main characters of any story. now or past or a future. We are not stories. We are not anything like that. We are not perfect moments or anything like that. It's just there's just a series of things that we, I guess, and I had gone a lot of times not even expressing my own emotion through situations. Ow. I had realized that that I had gone through, I guess, what, 25 years? I'd gone through like 25 full years of me just not going through the motions, but preparing for something. But it's like I didn't know exactly what I was preparing for. I didn't have a goal in mind. I didn't have anything in mind. And I started to realize that if I was going in that certain goal in a certain way, and I was not stern in my emotions, then I could be swayed in any different direction and used for whatever people wanted me to be used for. So I took the 5 years remaining, I guess, of my life up to present now, realizing what kind of stuff that I really wanted to be a part of, and not just being a part of other people's lives. Because and really that kind of thinking brought me to stuff like this. It brought me to thinking like this. It brought me to thinking like
Suspect doing 70 miles per hour on
like it brought me to thinking like a real person. Like I really thought for like the first time that I wasn't just going through the motions. I wasn't just or not going through the motions, but I wasn't just putting on airs for people. I was actually thinking and feeling and like, and that felt good. You know, it felt really good to do. It felt really good to promote, and that was amazing. It really felt good to do, to not put on like this cloak of what I thought was the right thing to do, when in actuality I was just making like a formula so I could solve it later on, or an equation so I could solve it later on. An equation for a formula that I thought maybe would be something that I could use later on for anything. Like a I don't know. It's like that Sugar Ray song starts to make more sense sometimes. But in actuality, I'm not like using it for a one-night stand or anything. I'm using it for like, it's like I thought that it's like a, you know, I'm getting really ahead of myself, I guess. But oh shit, there we go. Alright. I thought that most of the times whenever I was thinking about my self-control, it's like I wasn't training myself for anything. You know, I wasn't if I've dreamt of like so much success and so many successful adventures and so many things that I would think about like in my life, and yes, I really did fuck up that time, but it's okay. And within that, I didn't realize, I guess, that I did have self-control, or that I do have self-control, because I have a long way of going before I actually can call myself any sort of professional about anything. But I mean, I'm professional at video games, probably, if I tried. But
like I'm gonna kill myself.
But it's only because I put the time in constantly, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. So That's what I wanted to do. I decided that within the next 5 years of me being 25 and turning that, I was gonna actually start doing something with myself, and I realized that certain pathways of my life were, I would say, it was a no-go. It's like, and also some of them would actually label me a sociopath because I could make stuff up on the spot, but and within that time I met someone, so but also I realized that person could make up stuff on the spot too, and or at least maybe was too confused to actually be in a situation with me in the beginning, to realize that or maybe that person was too much in a situation where they thought that they just needed a way out, or they needed someone to but I don't blame that person. I really don't. But also too, I'm the one who walked out. Because I realized that I needed more in my life than just someone to lay next to at night. And not to say that the person couldn't have been more, or wasn't more sometimes, but in the same sense, I felt like sometimes I was being teased. You know? I felt like my time was borrowed time when it was her time. And that's probably the reasons why I didn't, I was trying to make sure that car slowed down for me. It didn't feel like slowing down, so I just got hit and accidentally died. But it's okay. I realized that a lot of times whenever I was purposely going into a relationship or into a certain part of seriousness, I wouldn't hang back, you know. I'd really go for it, you know. I'd do the really nice stuff, or I'd do really something sweet, or I'd look at them like I really like them, or like I didn't exactly practice looking like a pretty boy or like a dude, but I was good at it kind of sometimes when it came to. And also, I'm not too shabby, and I know this is mature, this is not family friendly. I was not too shabby in the sack. Although that's the reason why sometimes I didn't try to whatchamacallit, although it was not, I didn't try to say something about it all the time. I didn't try to say something about it because I wanted to find good relationships, and I really did find good relationships. The ones that I've actually been in, and only sometimes that I've actually only sometimes did I actually realize that only in some cases did I actually realize what I was doing or how I was doing it, and I was usually the one to stop the relationship. And I realized that. It sounds like I'm like making up for something, or if I say my entire because I did already once And I didn't mention any names except for one. And still, even still, they're not. It's a different. There's too many people in this world to be confused with whoever it is, whoever would be confused to, unless you know me personally. So, I guess what people really should understand sometimes is, through a lot of self-control, I guess, I was able to do different things, and I wanted to have a mature relationship more than anything, and that's what I realized is the more that I would look into the person next to me, or try to find out the person next to me what they were thinking, the more I would lose that sometimes. So the more that I would the more that I would like try to joke around about what the relationship was completely about. Or maybe try to emphasize on the
Too close.
try to emphasize on the try to emphasize on the lack of relationships that I've actually been in, you know? And I think that a lot of people don't realize that it doesn't take experience to get things right in a relationship. It really doesn't. Like, it takes experience to know exactly what you want in a relationship, and that can range from one partner to 100 partners or more, but usually with just one. I think what people need to understand is I got taught about relationships and sex in a certain form, and I realized that form wasn't what everyone did. My sexual education was, I guess, looking at diagrams of penises and vaginas, and them saying that these are the parts that babies come from, and these are the parts that blah blah comes from. And I'm just like, yeah, not always. You want it to feel good, because if it doesn't, then what's the point of making the baby, you know? You make the baby because you enjoyed doing it with your partner. And I think a lot of people don't realize, it's like, a lot of people don't realize that, like, there's a lot of dudes that get and I've seriously known these dudes before. It's like, after they get married and stuff like that, or after their wife has a child, they are no longer attracted to their wives. And I think that what those people kind of realized, or what those people kind of thought about a woman, I guess, is that she's always gonna be there for you, or she's always gonna see there. And a lot of people, I mean, my mom's talked about this about me before, I think, and really I've more had this conversation in my head. I think that through self-control, people start to realize the different responsibilities in a relationship, and what people really, oh my god, what people really don't understand about the responsibilities inside of a relationship. And the fact is that in even like being friends, because I was friends with a girl, and that girl got married, and then I decided to not be friends with her anymore. Also, it had a lot to do with the fact that I still liked her, I guess I liked her, and I guess that's probably the reasons why I stopped being friends with her for the most part. I think that, but also too, I realized that she was kind of childish, because, like, when I actually wanted to be friends with her, she was the one calling me a jock, And I guess that it's funny. It's all playing funny games. It's just like, you know, it kind of hurts, you know. Words don't make bruises, but they make what's the word?
Beautiful car. What the?
I don't know. That's the point. I think that's the reasons why people don't associate. They try to bend what the rules are, I guess, in the sexual or not even sexual friend things. Like I don't know. It's just dudes like to keep things simple. I like to keep things simple. I really do. But within that simplicity lies complexity, and within those complexities, I think that somehow their people would consist of a gray area. I guess was having sex with their friends. And you know, I mean, although I mean, it depends on what industry you're in, I guess. Now, sometimes when you get older, I think that sometimes people start to, if they spend time with nothing but just their coworkers, then they start to make a sort of emotional connection with that. And if that environment is sexually charged, then also you have to realize that you have a certain responsibility. And people, I think that people don't think about their responsibilities when they're making their infatuations inside of their own heads. When they're making those infatuations, or they're coming up with those, what I'd say what people would call characteristics of other people, like, or maybe even just assumptions about those characteristics, or whether or not they amount to anything. Whenever, I don't know, and when you're thinking about self-control, and you're in an environment, it's like it's an on-off switch sometimes, you know? It's like you're either enjoying the person and you're enjoying everything they're being around because they basically are professionals, but also in the same sense that I mean, I don't know. I've been in so many weird situations sometimes, but it's. I guess what people need to understand is to be more responsible with themselves. When you're an adult, all that shit doesn't matter. You can say that there's some sort of baller instinct of you, or like, oh, women are just flock to me sometimes. It's like no, the more women that flock to you, the more you have to be responsible about what they think about you. Because once those women stop thinking all those different amazing things about you, there's literally the moments when you stop being their idol, or their friend, or their what they would consider a loved one, or even a specific person, I guess. When the more you just become this one-dimensional thing that they're just shutting out of their lives. It's just the way things are. And within those one-dimensional things that people are shoving out of their lives, because it's what people do sometimes whenever they're trying to disassociate themselves with someone, is they think of a person as one-dimensional. They think of them as not being just, I guess, within thinking. I mean, it's again, people have to be more responsible. Especially, I've been looking on YouTube, and I've looked on YouTube, and I may just show off my anger, or I may just show off my stupidity, I guess, is basically what I'm saying. But I do have a grasp on what other people do, and I'm not completely an invalid about what people actually do behind closed doors. It's like I know that people make deals, and people do things, have like endorsements and a whole bunch of different stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's the reason why they're talking to that guy in the thing, is because he's gonna make $1 million for them. It's like, yeah, I know that. That's pretty much an assumption that I'm creating inside my own head. I didn't need you as whatchamacallit, what's the word? I didn't need you to be so Captain Obvious, you know, or not Captain Obvious, but just as like a saying, if you didn't know, if you don't know, now you know, you know. But I'm a little bit more perceptive than that sometimes as far as things go, and I know that what people do sometimes is purely what is the word? Cosmetic. Whenever people are going into some sort of like sexual venture or relationship venture, sometimes they just look at the package, look at what the package is, instead of what's inside the package and how the package works and how the package processes information. And literally, you should be seriously considerate when thinking about how people process information and the way that they process information, not just how they present everything to you, you know? Because I've been duped before. I've been told things are a certain way and things are the way that they're supposed to be, and then moments later I am informed that that's not the way, or that's not the case, or that's not the things that need to be happening, and nothing doing, and all the other different stuff. So when thinking about a relationship, it's good to superanalyze. It's good to overanalyze. If you overanalyze, then you're gonna have so many women flocking to you. But understandably so, if you get a big head about it, and think that you're on top of the world, know that the world doesn't revolve around one person. And the world doesn't revolve around anything except the sun. And the sun is S-U-N, not S-O-N. So it's just, yeah, that's it. You can say that the world stops somehow, and no, it's your perception of time itself is misconstrued by the fact that you have a distraction in front of you, and because of that distraction, you notice more things, more nuances of different innocence and lack thereof of perception of what time is, and that time itself is still measured, but it's measured by you understanding different perceptions of the way that those nuances can literally pluck at your heartstrings or make you believe in something that is completely and utterly false, or completely and utterly true. But given that moment of you experiencing that, you have to understand that those perfect moments are built up to. Those perfect people are non-existent, but those perfect moments are built up to. Perfect people don't exist. People always lie. People are always gonna lie, no matter what. They're gonna lie because they don't want you to know their phone number. They're gonna lie because they don't want to be friends with you, or they just don't want to hang out that certain day, or they're gonna lie because they don't want to be around. Or they're gonna lie because they feel as though they're protecting someone else from you, but that they don't believe that you should be meeting just yet. I've met those harsh realities for real so many times, and so many people are gonna we will create whatever they want to create to be able to make sure that you don't see through them, through anything else that they want to project about themselves. And if you fall for that, then just realize that that you're not gonna fall for it forever. You're gonna see through it, whether it be 30 years down the line, 2 days in a row down the line, or maybe just a couple of years, I guess. But also realize that that person themselves will come to their own realizations in time. Yes, that's what I did. But that person will come to everything that they've realized, or everything that they've truly even thought about in time. They just need a little bit of time. I'm at 15 minutes, but I'm not gonna keep going. I'm gonna do a mission, and I'm gonna do that now. I think that a lot of times what people do themselves is they don't give themselves any credit to see something through, or to see that they matter to so many other people, or even giving a chance to a perfect stranger to be like, hey, I think that you're cool, and I think that you're awesome, and I think that what you're doing is amazing. If you have that much self-control to be in someone's life and tell them that they're worth something and be able to let them believe it, then
You gotta watch out, fool.
then what you really need to understand is you have kind of the best gift there ever was. But when you build up to those moments, or when you realize that those moments are fake, another person, or realize that those moments don't matter to you, or don't matter to them as much as they matter to you, then maybe you need to do some reevaluating and realize that your self-control needs to be, or at least your self-introspect, or your not just self-introspect, but peer introspectiveness needs to be reevaluated by yourself. And that's just like looking at the way, if someone's gonna be fake to you, to your face, and then tell you that something isn't the way it is, and then somehow be, I guess, overloaded with joy the next time they see you. And within that joy, be,
Out the park, nigga.
and within that joy be like, it's like the people who own Ferraris and have been owning Ferraris for like generations. They'll be like, yeah, whatever, it's a Ferrari, it's cool. The thrill of it's gone for them. It's the fact that them driving it that actually gives them any sort of any sort of thing. It's like I like the way that the motor runs, but if it didn't have to run that, it didn't run that way, or if I didn't see it that way, if I didn't see a Ferrari again, it wouldn't matter to me. And then there's the people who just get a Ferrari and they're like, oh my god, I've got a Ferrari, and then say for instance like they get robbed or something like that, or someone gets robbed, and then their friend gets like literally thrown out of the Ferrari. They will literally drive off with the Ferrari thinking that it's like, oh my god, this is a Ferrari, I got a Ferrari. Their first reaction will be, I have something nice, I really want to keep it, why is someone robbing me? Your first reaction is always selfish, and that's what I've realized that my first reaction was sometimes. It's like I was ingrained into me. It was ingrained into me so much that it's like, oh my god, my sister, oh man, my sister is an idiot. My sister one time got into an accident, and my because my first reaction is oh my god, the car is fine. Is the car okay? When I'm in an accident, I'm like, is the car good? And when I thought about the accident while I was talking to my sister, I was like, is the car okay? And she was just like, no, the car's not okay. The car got totaled. So and she wasn't like that. She was just like, well, I'm doing fine too now. And I'm just like, yeah, Sarah, I know that. You're talking to me. I know my sister's gonna be okay. It's like I know when I want her to be okay. But it's something that if she wasn't on the phone with me, like talking to me about things, then I'd be like, oh my god, is my sister okay? That's basically what I mean. I don't know. It's not like me to want to always think about and then there was another scare, I guess, when my sister got pregnant, I guess, and my sister was like, oh, did you ask me if the baby was okay? And I'm like, Sarah, I know the baby's okay. You didn't mention it. You didn't mention it at all. So I know the baby's okay. Like, so and if the baby isn't okay, then why? No, and no. And the baby's okay. So I've tried a lot of times to try to see people in different lights, and through my own self-control, I've really made it my I've really made it my my personal journey to make sure that my family makes it okay. And I really do want it to be okay, and I want them to be okay, and I want them to be all right within themselves and within the things that they get and how they get it. So it's like it's really subjective to me to be a person of reason, I guess. And
This don't make no fucking sense.
I've tried really hard to say that I have self-control, and to really push that, and to really be like, you're supposed to be peaceful people. Be peaceful, you know? It's like, not like my family and stuff, you know? It's like people are supposed to be peaceful, you know? And for the most part, people are, you know? For the most part. There's always that just, I mean, I guess that one thing that kind of just sets me off, you know? It's always that one little detail that's just like, things don't seem right, man. How am I supposed to think about this? You know, it's like, there's always that stuff, you know, that's just like, there's always that detail that pushes you over the edge, and you're just like, oh my goodness, how could this happen like this? Why would anyone want this to happen? And you know what it gets me like in a tizzy, I guess, is when people think that they have the situation under control. It's like people think that they have the situation under control, and that no one else's opinion is gonna make it stand out. It's like, but the mere fact that people have opinions is the reason why you don't have it under control. You know, it's just like, you know, you wish that people would understand, and they would understand that the situation is just not literally under their supervision. And I mean, you wish they would see it, because truly genius people realize that they have nothing under control, that they can control very, very little. And it's not realizing that you know nothing. It's not realizing that you know absolutely nothing, but it's realizing that there are too many things and too many variables to be in question about anything. To be realizing, or to be thinking that you have any situation under your own control. You really wish that you had it under control? You really think that you have it under control? You really think that you have your own retrospective thinking, and your own thinking cap on, or something like that? And it's basically, to me, what I think of when I think of a child's when I think of a child's watch series or something. Like, when people want things to go a certain way, people will make sure that it looks like it's going their way, and then things go awry, and you're like, wow, how did this happen? It's because everything else was going in that direction. But I saw this, but you saw that. People manufactured that for you to see, and then they went and did their own thing. That's what they do. It's what everyone does sometimes. Whatever that thing may be, people manufacture. They manufacture what you want to believe, what you want to hear, what you want to see, and in it becomes... people are like an illusion of choice and stuff like that. It's like, no, the illusion is only being portrayed by the person trying to control the element of choice. That controlling that element of choice, realizing that self-control has everything to do with it, but also realizing that control of events is what drives other people to sometimes insanity, because of the mere fact that you can't control what people perceive. You can never control what people see. Like, oh my God, there's like the Truman Show sort of thing. But it's like there's every one of these little things. But wait a second, what's that fucking cable doing out of nowhere? It's just literally sticking out of the ground for no reason. What's that dude pocketing all that fucking money on the goddamn corner for? What is that hot dog stand doing out there when they know those fucking hot dogs are terrible? Or what's that dude doing on the corner of basically just nowhere, looking around and like doing nothing? Oh, that's like a party central or something like that. It's like, no, it's a hub of information. Whenever people are looking for something, or people are trying to look for something, they're looking for information. When people are looking for something, a way that they do things, or a way that people put things into interest. And I'll give you an example. Is like the way that someone says that they have control over something, but when they're trying to manipulate someone else, they're saying that they have control over these situations, but when they're saying that they have control over the situations, they're trying to show you the best parts of themselves, while leaving the parts that don't show how bad their business is doing, or how horrible they are, or how mean they are as a boss, or how bankrupt their businesses actually are. Like, and that's just it could be a mom and pop shop for a complete example. But realize that the more you don't enjoy your job, the more you don't enjoy what you're doing, the less you'll have time to do it. And I guess that's where I'm going to stop it here. And I'm going to jump down this hill. Because I'm not ending it all. I'm just jumping down a hill. Realize that self-control itself comes within. It comes from within yourself. It comes from not just creating different choices for yourself, not just realizing through certain artificial situations or training that thing is the way it is, but being one with yourself and realizing that within you is the purpose and the promise for every goal you could ever achieve. Realize that you and your purpose are one. That you are your purpose. That you are that thing trying to desperately make it in the world. You are that thing. So, every goal that you orient yourself with should be something you orient yourself with wholeheartedly. And instead of... what's the word? Instead of being afraid of your own authority. Instead of being afraid of what you think you're afraid of, which is bankruptcy, any of those sort of Section 13 sort of things, because when you look at it in a real way, when you look at certain things in a real way, you'll start to realize that if you can't do it all in one take, that if you can't really do it all in one take without notes, then it's over. Like, it never was for you, you know? Because it takes one take to make a sandwich. It takes one take to make a movie. It takes one take to make pretty much anything. And if you have to sectionalize it off into doing different things for people and doing different things and turning it into some sort of factory line, you're literally just making people think that you don't know what you're doing. Down to its core. Eventually people are going to start realizing that the more that they factorialize everything into its permanent component parts, they'll start to realize that it's harder for people to do a singular job, but it's harder for them to do when it's harder for them to do the singular job, that's the job that pays the economy. That's the job that pays the centralized hub of everything. And then everyone going off of that basically keeps the economy going. So if you can't even realize that their central job, like a doctor or a nurse or any one of those service jobs that literally you cannot do in a bunch of takes. You can't just be like, ma'am, I cursed you out. I'm very sorry. I'm coming back. I'll come back to you and I'll be a lot nicer. It's just like, no, ma'am, I dropped a scalpel inside of your body. I'm going to come back in 5 minutes and then I'm going to pick it out. Is that cool? No, that doesn't work. Realize that the more you work at something, the more professional you'll become. But the more self-control you really need, and realize the more self-control you'll really need to realize is that the more things unravel around you, the more composure that you completely have, the more experience that you exhume, that you push out and realize, make other people realize that you're not losing your shit, and neither should they. So don't lose your shit. If everything's falling down around you, don't lose your shit. Be like the captain on frickin' the Pirates of the Caribbean when he's just like literally floating down the stairs. as they're disappearing behind him. Because realize that one day that could be you. That could be you, and if you don't float down those stairs with the just most amazing kind of gracefulness that you're supposed to have, then you'll never make it to the bottom. And if that bottom ever even stays, or if that bottom is, realize that those stairs can be rebuilt, as long as you stay with your ship. Metaphorically saying, it means stay with yourself. Be within yourself. Stop trying to be without yourself, or try to say that you can manipulate things with your mind, because you already can. You have hands, you have a mind, you have all of those other different things, all of those other different tools. And yes, I am saying the basics, but literally I'm going to be jumping from this hill. Celebration. This is really, really slow. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. There it is. Oh my gosh. And also, too, this hill was probably a metaphor. I did not try to realize the metaphor. But sometimes it's not always the way you think it is. And sometimes you really need to understand that the slope isn't always that great. And all it takes is some rolling and some good footwork. Hopefully with some running shoes to get down the hill. Be yourself and realize that you can diffuse situations before they happen. This is Joe Bomb Squad, and these are my game therapy rants. No one needs to watch, I guess, if they don't want to. But I really, really think that they could help someone at some point in their life and make them realize the big mistake they're making before they make it. That's all I'm looking forward to. And that's all I'm looking towards. Because I know that I randomly watch videos all the time. And sometimes I really think that if I'm ever out there and I'm actually seeing someone do something professionally and make sure that they can do it the way that they want to do it, maybe one day I'll be able to do the same thing. But not in a different way, but in the same sort of thinking, I guess. But thank you so much for listening, if you ever do. And this has been Joe Bomb Squad, the Game Therapy Rants. Have a good day, and do lots of stuff. Because you don't need production value to change someone's mind. Have a good day.